Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Pemko number 136 BDG bright dip gold anodized aluminum interlocking threshold is what this is. This is a fairly common interlock style threshold. Perhaps the bright dip gold is a bit less common, but not unheard of. Residential applications is where you'll see something gold like this, bright dipped gold. This is a highly reflective item that is different than their G finish, 136G, which is like a matte gold. And I'm going to pull up the price book so I can tell you the other colors that are available since we're thinking about it. The 136, and I'm looking at my price book here, you could do it in the A finish for mill aluminum. You can do it in the bright dip gold, which is this finish. You can do it in the D finish, which is dark bronze anodized. You can do it in the gold, as mentioned earlier, which is just a matte gold color. If you're looking to match polished brass, you might want the bright dip gold, but if that's not, if that's too gold looking for you, you might want just the G finish, or too metallic, I should say. SN for satin nickel, so 5 finishes on an aluminum-based material, but then you can order this on architectural bronze-based material as well, so it'd be a 136B. You might call it brass. It's solid brass. We call it architectural bronze. And onto that finish, you can do 4 common variants. You can do mill finish, which is just what the material looks like when it's extruded at the mill. Satin finish, which would be like a 606 satin brass. 605 would be polished brass. That would be brass. It'd be the brass material, highly polished with a lacquer applied. Then you can do 613 finish, which would be an oil-rubbed bronze. And because it's a brass-based material, you can pretty much do anything you want to it. Technically, you can even plate the material, which would be most unheard of. But it's technically possible because the integrity of the base material would allow it, a plating process. It's not uncommon, really, to do a solid piece of architectural bronze, even though the cost per foot is orders of magnitude more expensive than an aluminum base material. The logic is you might want a threshold that is intended to last a century. Architectural bronze will, aluminum will not. In general, you might be building a $2 million house and your threshold is going to probably match the caliber of the rest of what you're building. Another common reason why someone will pay for a solid bronze or brass piece of material. However, of course, aluminum is the most common. Interlocking threshold, what is it? I'm going to argue that it's a very elegant way to seal the bottom of the door, but first let's start with the dimensional properties of the item. You can see from the image down below this video, and by the way, this is a sample. I mean, it's literally a 6-inch sample piece just for purposes of this video. You can see from that image down below that this threshold is 4 7/8 wide and that it's 1 inch overall height. Okay? You'll see a reference in that image as well to the weep hole reference in the image. What is a weep hole? This sample piece does not have the prep done, but imagine down in the trough here, there was a small hole drilled in this sidewall. Then imagine in the face there was a small notch that was done. And then imagine that you used that, or you ordered the water pan that could come with it, which is just a piece of thin sheet metal if you order the aluminum version. Same if you order the brass version. Keep the materials the same. Don't order an aluminum pan with an architectural bronze threshold. You don't want to mix those disparate materials. Well, if any water were to get inside of the threshold and get caught in this trough in front of the berm that's here, the purpose of the hole is for it to leak out this way and then feed itself out through the face, or see itself out through the notch that's done in the face of the threshold and out the front. An interlocking threshold not only has the suspenders sort of approach with keeping water out, it's got the belt as well. And what I mean by that is there's a 2-pronged system here that's occurring to really prevent any sort of intrusion via the hook strip that's included with an interlocking threshold. The two go together. When you buy an interlock, you'll get a hook strip. Now, this is a J hook. If you use your imagination, you can see why we call it that. And it's intended to be nailed to the bottom of the door. And when the door closes, it's going to fit together just like that. Now, that's going to give you an incredibly positive mechanical seal at the door. And that seal, combined with the weep hole principle, makes for a very elegant way to seal the bottom of that door. Interlocking thresholds are used because they're known by people who've had them, or people who have installed them, or people with exposure to them. And you might as well, and you never really realized it. You didn't realize there was a hook strip underneath your door. They're preferred because of how effective they are. Not only for water, but the elements in general. Obviously, the transfer of metals touching each other would allow the transfer of energy easily from this side to this side to this side. However, the upside is that you're really going to prevent drafts from coming in, water from coming in. Here in Chicago, that's what's most important. In Arizona, they have a different set of circumstances. It's less the cold as much as it could be critters, scorpions, snakes. This is a real concern. People call me up and say, I need a way to keep the scorpions out. I don't want to put my foot in my shoe to find that a scorpion's crawled in there from underneath the front of my house. I hear that actually rather often throughout the year. So certainly this is going to keep a scorpion out. It's going to keep all those critters out, really. Okay. Now this is a J hook. You will install nail this, and this would, if this was the genuine article, it would come with nails to nail this to the bottom of the door. And it would certainly come with screws to screw this down. Now the way that this J hook principle works is that you generally nail it to the bottom of the door, and I'm going to just make a very rough sketch here, if you'll just permit me a moment. And your J hook principle will look like that, obviously. Okay, the door is going to swing in, and you're in good shape. Now, another way to do it would be to have the same principle, but you're going to do a mortise or a notch under the door, like that. Okay, now the advantage of that is that you're going to draw that door detail, the door edge, down closer to the top of this berm, and it'll come over like this. Now that inside corner underneath the door will be significant in really giving you a trifecta sort of system to prevent the intrusion of material. Not uncommon to do that method either. And as a matter of fact, new installations will often see that, where someone is designing a door opening from scratch and they're going to mortise or notch the bottom of the door to account for this. You can also do, since we're speaking of hook strips, you can also do a hook strip that would be an L shape. So an L shape is obviously what it sounds like. And again, forgive me. An L shape is obviously going to surface mount to the face of the door and connect just like that. Why would you want an L shape? Well, maybe you can get the threshold down without removing the door, but you want an L shape hook strip because you do not want to unhang the door. Certainly with this you would have to remove the door from the hinges. Long-lasting and durable, the interlocking threshold system is. The only time that you have a problem is over the decades. The hook strip will fatigue, meaning where the nails have pierced through, those years and years and years of close, 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 it really allows that hole where the nail pierces through to get increasingly larger. The hook strip will start to move. You might have an obstacle on the inside of the door, like a shoe, and you push that door over it and you kind of damage the hook strip a bit. Or you take the door off the hinges to paint it. Or whatever, you have to move a couch in, and you pick the door up, and then you literally put it down on the ground and not realizing, oh my gosh, I've just crushed the hook strip. The good news is this is dreadfully inexpensive. It is made of steel, And if you buy a bronze or brass threshold interlock, you'll get a brass hook strip as well. A wipe coat galvanized steel is what that is. Very cheap, inexpensive to buy. This part number, I believe, is Z61. So you can just buy a hook strip. They're really inexpensive. So if you damage it or need to replace it, you can. It's very easy to get the material at least. Now there's a variety of different interlock thresholds, really, in terms of speaking of, and I'm pulling up my catalog here as well. What I'll do is pull up the full line catalog, and I'll type from 136, I'll do a find function, and then I'll come up with all the different profiles that are there, and there's lots of them. There's lots of interlocking thresholds that are available. The point of the different types of interlock is that the width will change, but maybe more importantly, the height will change to best account for or suit your conditions, whether they're existing or what you're designing from scratch. So you're able to really get an interlock threshold that will suit your needs. And if you have unusual needs, like maybe a 14-inch wide, we can help you with that as well. You'll have to reach out to us. That's a different scenario. But we have a way by which we can help you with extremely wide interlocks. If you have a 9-inch deep frame and you want the front face of it to run long against the side lights, we can help you with all that material. It's available on the site in not only those different finishes on aluminum, the different base material and its finishes, but all the lengths as well. Everywhere from 2 foot to 8 foot. You can get longer than 8 foot, but we'd have to quote it for you because the cost to ship something longer than 8 foot is generally considered quite prohibitive because it doesn't go package service. You might have need for a custom length, and by all means let us know by ordering the next longest piece or pieces and indicate in the comment field what length you'd like for us to ship the material out at. We'll be happy to do that. Not really a big deal to cut this aluminum, but you'll get a factory edge, very clean factory edge if we have it cut at the factory. So keep that in mind. This is just steel, but they're not cutting that with aviation snips. There's a saw that they have for cutting that. So you'll need to be cautious of trimming this in the field if you needed to, so that you don't dimple it or crush it down. You really want it to maintain its original look, so to speak, and original dimensional properties. Okay. So if you have need for a custom length, we can do that for you. Order the next longest piece or pieces, indicate that net length in the comment field. We'll ship it out that way. Now, if this was the genuine article, you'd have a screw about 4 or 5 inches from the end. So if you had to take a 3-foot piece and cut it down to, say, 30-inch, or maybe even better, a 72-inch piece, and cut it down to 64-inch because you had a pair of French doors, you would eliminate that first countersink. Then your centers would not be cohesive down the length of the threshold. It wouldn't be uniform. Ordering a custom length will allow all of those factors to come together in to your benefit if you ordered a custom length. There's a link, there's an option where you have to select that water pan. I had mentioned it much earlier. You do have to say required, not required kind of scenario. There is finally a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Pemko products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog, which I referred to here earlier. And you might want to take a look at that and just familiarize yourself with what Pemko offers. They have the single broadest availability of weather stripping that I've ever seen from a single manufacturer. Lots of different profiles, extrusions. They have custom capability, so if they do not have an extrusion that will suit, they can cut and weld. They can make you what you want. A full custom capability is what I'm trying to say. Not only on thresholds, but door sweeps, astragals, material made of aluminum, architectural bronze, stainless steel, a variety of items, residential and commercial. If you have any questions on the Pemko 136 BDG Bright Dip Gold Interlocking Threshold or any other Pemko product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you very much.